want to request you to look at today's session very different from others. We have done so many sessions together in the course of the year. Please look at today's session as a business therapy session. You remember the old saying? There was an old saying which we all know: madness is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. I think the purpose of AD review is to reflect on the year that was, with the purpose of helping us prepare for the coming year. And this is early enough, being in November, to help us prepare for next year. The way I look at it, if I were a safari rally driver and we have 4 laps for the entire trip, every time we stop, every single lap, at the end of every lap before we proceed to the next, we need to check the tires. We need to check the fuel levels, the coolant levels, the seat belts. More importantly, the driver and the car needs to rest. And me and my co-driver, we need to talk, we need to reflect, to take stock on the first lap, so that we can make adjustments and improvements on the next lap. Most of the things that Charles Darwin said, I don't agree with them, and we have different views about them, but there is one thing I agree with him. Survival is for the fittest species, the one that adapts quickest to change. That I totally believe. It is true that how fast we survive is not how strong we are, not how smart we are, not how intelligent, not how educated we are, but how fast we adjust and adapt to change. How many here will agree with me? In as much as there is an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, there are some people who have taken advantage of the situation, both sides of the war, and they are actually doing better because of the war. For example, in Russia, American companies like MacD closed down, but there is an entrepreneur in Russia who took advantage of the exit of the American companies and actually has now grabbed the Russian market with the Russian imagination and creation. But I think if we can encourage each other, as Nyambura was saying, we can see new opportunities in the coming year. What we can't afford to lose is to lose hope. If we lose hope, we've lost everything. So pick your book and your pen and let's review the year together. And I'm going to look at 7 aspects. We are going to review 7 areas of our business. This is like the summary of everything we did in the course of the year. So the first area we are going to review is just our finances. Then number 2, we are going to review about our customers. Number 3, marketing. Number 4, products. Number 5, risks. Number 6, management. And number 7, corporate social responsibility. And now, out of these 7 objectives for the training that I've listed and outlined for you, except number 1, number 2 through number 7, I will pick examples from you. And the reason is some of the things I'm going to mention about number 1 will make you uncomfortable. So rather than giving you examples about corporates in Kenya, in South Africa, in Nigeria, in America, in Europe, I would want to use some of your businesses with your permission. We make it a discussion, we make it real by using the SMEs presented in today's class to process numbers 2 through number 7. So number 1, I want you, it will be very personal in terms of how we reflect about our finances. So that one I will not ask any of you to volunteer. But number 2 through number 7, I'll be looking for volunteers in our midst. So let's go straight to finances. And I want us to pick some words of wisdom from some gurus. And I'll start with what Warren Buffett says about finances. And these guys I'm picking them for only one reason. We cannot identify with them. It's not that they're better than you, but we cannot identify with them. 3 years in a row, Warren Buffett was the richest man on earth, and he's arguably the greatest investor in modern times. Concerning money, he said, that I quote, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." That's a very strong statement and a very big challenge to you and to me. He's saying if you do not take care of passive income, You end up in old people's home. So somebody has to take care of you because you cannot even afford a worker. And because you won't be able to afford to work when you're so old. So this is a very strong statement. So I want us to reflect about our finances. And this is going to be a personal reflection. And my 3 concerns as we think about finances. Number 1 is to audit my 2023 financial position. My second concern about finances is to define my financial goals for 2024. And number 3, to maximize my disposable income in 2024. I'm deliberately using the word my, not your. I want you to think about, make it very personal. Make this very, very personal. Because we need to reflect on the bottom line. Here is the thing. If you ask Nyabura about KCB, they have clear financial targets, every single department. I've said 1,000,001 times, hope is not a winning strategy. The thing is this, you can't hit a target that you don't have. So here is the deal. If you don't know your destination, then it doesn't matter which road you take. If you have no specific place you're going, it's immaterial which road you take. But if you have a precise place where you want to go, you want to drive specifically from Nairobi to Addis Ababa, then the shortest route is through Nanyuki, Marsabit, Moyale to Addis. That's the shortest route to Addis Ababa. But if you have no idea where you are going, you might as well take any road. And here is a question about finances. How can you hit a target that you don't have? If anybody is listening to me and they're in their mid-40s, like me, or in their 50s, you already can tell the energy levels are going down. You can tell that already. So what happens in your 70s, in your 80s? So this is a very major why. Why you should start earning when you're still sleeping. And I don't want to ask you whether you're earning when you're still sleeping, but that's literally our goal. So let's start with the first one, audit my 2023 financial position. So again, I request you, pick your notebook and your pen. Let's audit our 2023 financial position. I repeat, matters finances, I'll keep it personal. I'll not ask you. When we come to number 2 customers, I'm going to ask some of you to volunteer. This one I want you to keep it to yourself. About auditing your 2023 financial position, let's look at 3 things. Number 1, income. Number 2, expenses. And number 3, net worth. So what I'll be requesting you, please, 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 at the end of our meeting today, sit down with yourself, either at the end of November or mid-December, at whatever time your calendar year ends or your financial year, and quantify, seriously quantify, what were my total incomes in the year. In the US, I don't know how it works with most of us in Kenya. In the US, almost everybody is able to tell you their annual income. Almost everybody. There are 3 major types of expenses: business expenses, personal expenses, and what I would call charitable expenses. Business expenses could be how much it costs you to purchase your raw products, raw materials. Could be the cost of your business rent, could be the cost of your employees, could be the cost of marketing and advertising. Those are business costs, business expenses. Number 2 is personal. Any money you took out of the business for your personal use, whether you're servicing your car, your rent, your mortgage, your bills, school fees for your children, holiday and vacation for your family, those are personal expenses. Charitable expenses is something you gave out. It didn't benefit you directly. It's money you contributed to a church, to a mosque, to a temple. You gave to the hungry, to the poor, to the orphaned, to the elderly, to the homeless. It is school fees you give to another child who is not your relative. It is money you contributed to Rotary, tree planting, charitable causes. So quantify any money out, and then finally your net worth. And this is our major concern. Everyone, whether you're employed or you're in business, your major concern should be net worth. And net worth here is basically the difference between assets and liabilities. And why this is key is that you can have a car which you bought at 3 million, but literally you have only paid off $500,000. So 2.5 million is not still yours. That car can still be auctioned by the seller or by the bank that gave you the facility. And you're not left with zero, you're left with a debt of 2.5. If you're paying mortgage, there's nothing wrong with it. But still you realize when you're quantifying your net worth, it's a question of what you have minus what you have not paid. That's your net worth. And the idea for every one of us, whether you're employed or in business or mixed blend, you are partially employed and partially in business, is to literally check whether you're growing your net worth. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Are you growing your net worth? The second item about taking stock of your finances is defining your 2024 financial goals. I think we have a couple of confessions. Bernard is saying that's true for him, even William, Faith, Evelyn, Mugabe. We have a couple of confessions. And thank you for being honest. I think this is what the class is all about. And basically that's why I'm saying, if you honestly don't know your destination, then it doesn't matter which direction you begin walking. It doesn't matter. So what I'm requesting you today, for you to be able to say 2024 was successful, then you need to have a figure. You need to have a number. You can't hit a target that you don't have. So here is my suggestion for us. 3 things: short-term financial goals, mid-term financial goals, long-term financial goals. So you find somebody taking a long-term project like a mortgage, which is a good thing, but the wrong time. Because before you were able to take your business off the ground, you had already taken a mortgage, which you're going to be paying the next 10 years or 15 years. You feared the risk of a business loan, but you still took another risk of a liability. Now, some of you, I know that sounds strange from a financial perspective from some of you, that I'm calling a house a liability. Now, financial experts will tell you something different, but when it comes to business advice, anything that takes money out is a liability. Anything that brings money in is an asset from a business perspective. So if you're paying rent and mortgage to that house, I know this is debatable. This is very debatable, but this is the deal. If I am paying a mortgage of $150,000 and I was living in a rent of $50,000, it is still a liability. It is still a liability. I'm spending more on the house than I'm saving. Whichever way you look at it, it is still a liability. And there's nothing wrong with that liability if it did not compromise your business. Because we can't avoid liabilities. We all have liabilities. But the point I'm making is this. Every time you are focusing on the short term, you must have the vision on the long term. So the idea is long-term vision, short-term focus. Focus means all your energies are on 2024, but you have a clear long-term sight so that you don't take facilities that will cripple the short term or that will cripple the long term. So my suggestion is, as you reflect on 2023 and plan for 2024, please, may this be one of your deliverables. Put figures. I would rather you meet the target, but you had a target, rather than try to work out 2024 with no target. Why should we have a target? The fact remains, when you don't have a target, you actually tend to relax. When you have a target, it pushes you off the couch. It pushes you out of your comfort zones. It pushes you to think of different strategies when you have a clear target. When you have no target, you tend to allow the river to take its course. You just allow things to flow. You operate by autopilot. But when you have a target, you can't afford to operate by autopilot.